Round 2 of the Almost Aussie Racing Cars Championship took place at Tsukuba 1000, with Max Christensen, the points leader, taking the round off, so it was all up for grabs, everything was on the table. Now Tsukuba got a wonderful launch in the sprint race, up to P2 momentarily before dropping back, with Tripp finding himself also in P2, but a lock-up and then contact with Penske ended his race very prematurely. Peg took the lead over the first few laps before spinning himself out of turn 3, handing the lead to Ant Meeperson behind him, who decided to follow his lead a few laps later and spin himself out of turn 3. Now, the lead was handed to Penske with both Dan and Jai hot on his tails. Now, the whole race between these three was cracking. It was very entertaining to watch. Multiple times they got side by side, with Dan really hot on Penske's tails. However, the race would end very unfortunately for Dan after contact with Penske would send him into the gravel trap at turn 8. This did, however, hand P2 to Jai, who was hot on Penske's tails for the rest of the race, but Penske was able to hold him off for his victory, his first victory in the Almost Aussie Racing Cars Championship. Now, the feature race started very same as the previous race ended. Penske in the lead, Jai hot on his tail. Dan, who was sort of fast in practice and qualifying in the first race, was down a little bit in the pack and he had to make a few positions to get that fired on. Contact with Tsukuba on the opening lap did make that a little bit hard for him. Jai wasted no time going down the inside of Penske, getting that move done, and Penske unable to sort of make the fight back there. Did get side by side, but nothing doing. Unfortunately, his race was over very early after contact with Tripp sent him straight to the grass outside of turn 1. Very unfortunate, but he was able to fight a few positions back. Now Dan, once again, the whole race for him was spent fighting through the field, fighting up to Jai to get that fight for the win. And he did make the move on Ant for P2 and was able to sort of start chasing down Jai. He had a little bit of pace in hand, and a lock up from Jai did make the invitation down the inside all that more sweet. And these two, once again, another great battle. Like the first race, these battles side by side, so magnificent to watch. Unfortunately, things did end sourly, with Dan trying to make a move up the inside but was chopped off and both of them spun into the grass. Dan, however, did resume the lead, with Jai coming out in P2 and Ant finishing P3 in the feature race. Dan taking his first feature race win.